Hello and welcome back to Vintage Gaming Memories. I can't even do my intro because this is too loud. So let's go and shut these down, but I think you know what this is all about. I appreciate your interest in checking out this video. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to the channel. I hope you'll subscribe and visit often as I continue to publish more content almost on a daily basis. If this is a return visit, then thank you for your continued support as it really does help me grow this channel. So what do we have here today? This is the Coleco Tabletop 7 collection. We've got in order going from top left to the right, we have Pac-Man from 1981, Galaxian, also 81, Frogger, 82, Donkey Kong, 82, Miss Pac-Man, 83, Donkey Kong Jr., also 83, and Zaxxon, 83. In this video, we're going to look at Coleco's awesome set of the tabletop arcade games from the early 80s, otherwise known as the Coleco 7. Well, at least that's what I call it. There were plans for 2 more games to make it a total of 9, but they never were released. Only a photo rendition was made and nothing operational. Those 2 games would have been Berzerk and Omega Race. Much has to do with the timing because those last 2 games were planned right around the gaming crash of 1983. And if you haven't checked out my video on the StarPath Supercharger, please do because it was also a casualty of the crash and I go over details of it in that video. I'm curious, how many of you actually have the originals or maybe even the full collection? Let me know. Comment down below and I'd like to hear more about them. The story or thought behind this creation was pretty simple. How do you bring the excitement of the games you play at the arcades back to your home? I know, yeah, right. You know, early in the 80s, there was other options to play these games, such as your gaming console, like the 2600, or even on the 8-bit computers like the Atari 800. But what set these apart from the gaming consoles and computers is the physical and mobility aspects. Physically, the aesthetics are far superior than your home console setup because you have this mini-looking arcade, you've got these controls and all the details shown, you've got the marquee, these buttons. It's almost like as if you were at the arcade. I mean, if you were 10 years old, you probably believe that. The mobility part, though, sells it even more because you got the ability now to take it with you to a friend's house after school to play, or even when you're going to your relatives for that visit that you really dread because it's all adults talking about things you don't care or understand, or maybe they're playing a card game or something. Well, now you can just take this with you, turn it on, and escape the noise all around you. These typically sold for around $60 back in the early 80s. Since the 80s, there's been a lot of new ones that came out from either companies partnering with Coleco or Atari, like New Wave Toys, or various Kickstarter campaigns, and there's even individuals making them with a Raspberry Pi as the brain. As much as all those sound pretty nice, and of course they're new, I still have a place in my heart for these vintage originals that stand the test of time. For all 7 of these, it took me a little less than a year to complete, which I thought was pretty good considering I'm picky when it comes to adding something to my collection. I didn't have to do any major internal solder work except for the wire leads to the battery terminals on one of them where it was just hanging freely. But for most of the work I had to do, outside of a deep cleaning on all of them, it was pretty much to replace the decals or stickers on the outside cabinet. I'll put a link in the description as to where you can get them from an eBay seller that I purchased before, in case you are planning to do this or want to do this in the future. But anyhow, you'd think putting stickers on would be an easy job. No way. The prep job with using my heat gun, I had glue gun, and I had to continuously rub to get that surface clean. It took hours in total. But at the end, it was definitely well worth it. Now, you probably can't tell yet, but you'll see shortly here. I've left the original stickers on some of these because it wasn't too bad looking, and maybe I will replace in the future, but the others were pretty much damaged to the point of embarrassment if I were just to leave it on, so I did replace those. All right, let's take a look at each one of these. Well, actually, wait a second here. Before we do so, I got a question. Do you know which one of these 7 is completely different from the rest. I'll let you think about it as we go through each one of these and let you know later in the video. For these 7 tabletop game systems, the majority of them use a VFD for display, which is a vacuum fluorescent display. Basically, the quality with clarity and brightness was a plus over the older technology, but the trade-off was power consumption. Kind of figured that out, because if you're going to get something better, you're going to have to trade it off with something else, which would be battery consumption. So these batteries will go through quickly, which is why it's nice to have some kind of option for an AC adapter. And Coleco did come out with this Perma Power Battery Eliminator add-on. I do not have this in my possession, but I do want it. It works with any 4C or 9-volt battery games. 4C, 1.5 volts for each, so 6 volts total. So basically this will cover any 6 to 9 volt range game with these funky looking battery substitutes here. The only thing I have that would be similar to that would be this. It's a Coleco Model 2098 adapter, and it's just for one 9-volt battery replacement, so you wouldn't have to use the battery, just plug it into the wall. But it's the same kind of concept that they're selling with the C-size batteries up to 9 volts, 6 to 9 volts. So that's something I'll be looking for. All right, so this first game is obviously Pac-Man. It is from 1981, but this is the first one of the series though. As you can see, I mean, even the labels on the bottom, very nice. This is one of them that I did replace all the labels, and it is great condition. So let me just show you the gameplay, which I think we all know, but it's a little bit different with these tabletops. So you got 2 skill levels. We'll turn this thing on, and it kind of gives you this weird display. Going to the bottom is the demo. And that's the annoying noise you heard in the beginning of this video. So let's turn it off for a second here. This takes 4 C-size batteries. You do have a skill level of 1 and 2, as I mentioned. And there's 3 games you can actually play with this. So there's the basic Pac-Man that we all know, where you go around the maze and you eat those little white dots while you avoid the 4 ghosts, unless you eat one of those 4 power capsules. Then you can eat the ghosts for a short period of time. And you get 3 Pac-Man per game, and you get a 4th one after you reach 10,000 points. It does increase speed as levels progress, so that's typical as well. We can just do a quick play of that. Let's see here. Pac-Man, eat and run, and demo, and to the left is head-to-head. So we'll do Pac-Man, go to the right. Let's see how I can do with this here. Whoa, all right. Well, you get the hang of it. I won't take up much time with that one. So that's the first game in the series of 3. Then there's the head-to-head game, which I was showing earlier. You move this stick to the left when you power it on, and it will select the head-to-head. So that is what it just sounds like. It's you and a friend, and you both get to play at the same time, and you're on the same play field together, same challenges you would have with Pac-Man, except you are competing against your friend to see who can score the most points before you go through all your Pac-Man. And of course, the one with the highest score is declared the winner. Now, the third game is called Eat and Run. You push this upward, and this is a little bit different. So your goal in this game is to get those 4 capsules in each of the corners, and then return it back to the base, which has a gate that opens and closes. Your challenge is to get it to the gate, inside the gate, and drop them off before the ghosts catch you. And the more capsules you bring back to the base or to the gate area, the more points you get. But the ghosts will continue to chase you aggressively. I should probably give you a little bit of a glance of what Eat and Run looks like, because it's not really what you might think. I mean, you look at this, you see the ghosts in the 4 corners, and there you are where the ghost comes out normally. And you need to get these little, there's one of them, those little pills, the capsules, and then return it back to the cage if it opens up for me, which it's not yet. Oh, I gotta go this way and see if I can get over there in time. Oops, come on. There you go. I dropped 1 and got 100 points. And then it resets again from the middle of that cage, and and so forth. So it's a really interesting concept. It's hard to see those little pills, the little capsules in each corner, but the more you take in and drop off, the more points it's worth. There's no volume in these either, so that's another thing. That's the eat and run, and then I guess a really quick look at the head-to-head, which is this way. And you can see the two Pac-Man there. You use the two sticks here, you and your friend, and there you guys go. So, you know, it's Pac-Man using two players at once. Pretty neat. Now, that is Pac-Man for you. Let's jump to the next game here. And this is the second game of the 7. This is Galaxian from 1981. It also takes 4C batteries. I did not replace the stickers on it, the decals, but it looked pretty decent. I mean, maybe I will replace it, but for the most part, it looks pretty good still. I mean, it's not embarrassing. I mean, it looks like it's someone's game from back in the day. So, anyways, let's look at what games you can play on this and how to play it. So there's actually 3 games on this Galaxian tabletop, which is pretty neat. The first game is called Galaxian, and your goal is basically to clear the screen of the hostile alien fighters, and you have 3 defenders per play to do that. It's the actual original Galaxian game. So the second game is head-to-head, and that is just like what you saw with Pac-Man playing against a friend. You play both at the same time. Player 1, you control as a defender, it's called, and your defender is located on the bottom of the play screen. Player 2, your defender is on the top of the screen here. And what your goal is to destroy your opponent's defender and the fighters that are tied to those defenders by shooting missiles at each other, all the while trying to avoid your own fighter, because you don't want to shoot your own fighters. And they actually act like barricades between you and your opponent. You actually destroy one of your fighters, and by accident, your opponent scores points. This game is a timed controlled game. There's an option for a long or short play, and the high score wins. At the end of the game, you'll see a symbol of an L or an R next to the score. That tells you if the player on the left or the right wins. Then the third game is called Midway's Attackers. It's sort of like Space Invaders, where they're all trying to shoot you, but you also try to come down to get to your level at the bottom. And then once they do, the game ends. You have to continuously shoot to avoid them coming down to the bottom level. Let me just give you a quick example of how it looks. You hear the sounds, pretty cool. And the display is very bright. Let's try looking at the other game, do head-to-head, and we'll do that. And you can see player 2 is on top, and the player 1's on the bottom. I'm going to try to move them both, and you have to fire. And those things right in front of player 1 there, those are my fighters. They're actually the launch pods, I guess, to the yeah, there you go. And he hit player 2. So you hear the clicking to the time. It's a timed game, so you hear the click throughout. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's crowded, but it's got a lot of stuff going on. So you really have to focus on your area more than your opponents as you just try to continue to shoot and avoid hitting your own fighters. Anyway, turn it off. We'll go back to the last game here is Midway's Attackers, which is like the Space Invader concept. You'll have more rows of your, there we go, and we just have to keep on shooting them before they come down to my lower level. I can only go left and right, and there's a UFO on the top that scrolls across every so often, and that's also for bonus points. And you can see how it kind of gets faster as they get closer to the bottom here. And so that's that concept. Pretty simple, pretty cool. That's why I like this game. It's got a little bit of the Space Invader and the Galaxian basic concept, and then you can play with a friend. So this one is Frogger, as you can tell, nice and green. This also takes 4C batteries, 1982 release. It's just like the arcade game. You're the frog trying to cross the highway without getting hit, and then you have to avoid the snakes that are on the sidewalk, followed by a challenging river before you safely reach your home in the hedge area. Your challenge is to avoid all that plus the time. Remember, that time was also not on your side. This game, if we look really quick at the condition, it is the original Decals, which I thought was decent. I mean, it's coming up a little bit on top, but it's not horribly bad. And on the bottom, you still have a nice condition. I mean, it's got little wrinkles, but it's not peeled off. There's only one game on this, and it's Frogger. But you do have 2 skill levels, and it's only 1 player. Very simple, right? It's probably my least favorite game because it's just pretty basic. There we go. Okay, so there I am on the bottom, trying to avoid those cars. And now I'm on the sidewalk, and you see the snakes going across. Usually in Frogger, it takes a while for the snakes to get there, but it's already there in the first level. 16 points. So that's pretty much for Frogger. I won't take too much time on it, but it's got a great display as well. I mean, I've got a light, pretty bright light above shining down, and this covering really does give it a nice coverage for you to see on the camera, I think. Let's look at the third game here. Not too difficult to figure out which one this is. Yes, Donkey Kong. So this came out in 1982. Believe it or not, it also takes 4C batteries. Again, same concept as the arcades. You're Mario trying to rescue your kidnapped girlfriend from the ape while you go through challenging obstacles and you race against the time. There's really not much to that game, and there's no other games to play other than the original type of concept game, Donkey Kong. So very similar to Frogger. Simple. You got your joystick controller, 1 player, start your game, and also your jump button. No skill level on this. And that's how it looks. Let's start it. Let's do this really quick, see if I can get further here. Here's the hammer. Oh, no. Oh. Anyways, that's Donkey Kong. Stickers on this were replaced, so they look pretty nice. On to the next. Okay, and this one, I think you can figure it out. It's Miss Pac-Man. This one came out in 1983. It also takes 4C batteries. It's very similar to the gameplay at the arcades. You are Miss Pac-Man, you're Pac-Man's wife. You go through the maze, and you eat those dots to gain points, but you try to avoid the ghosts, unless, of course, you get a power capsule. If you eat one of those, then the roles change. The difference, though, with this one and Pac-Man is there are fruits that are available for extra points. Same concept about clearing each level. It increases the speed. There's also a head-to-head option, so you and a friend can play at the same time, just like you did in Pac-Man and in Galaxian. And that's about it. There's a demo as well. Let's take a look at that. Turn it on. And the demo is this stick going up. And you can see the fruit on top there. You're on a cherry level. And now the ghosts change color. So that's pretty much it for this. Like I said, it does have the 2-player option, and I'll give you a look at that. It would be head-to-head. And just like Pac-Man, you're just playing against each other here, moving around. So, again, these are so loud, these games, I guess. If you're trying to play this at night as a teenager and you don't want to wake up your parents, good luck. On to the next game. So what do we have here? We're now in 1983 again with this one called Donkey Kong Jr. Completely different shaped arcade tabletop system. It's not like the other 5 we went through. It also only takes 2C batteries, and that's because this is an LCD versus an VFD. So what does that really mean? The LCD doesn't have to take up so much battery consumption, so there's only 2 batteries, not 4. This one here does utilize your outside or surrounding light. So that's why it looks like it's already on, because it is on. There's no on and off switch to this. It utilizes the sunlight, or if you're outside or if you're in a room like this with the lights on, it takes that light to provide the backlit view. The top of it, as you could see, has a clear kind of transparent covering, and that's where the light will come through. And if you could see it like that now, and I put my hand over it, you don't see anything. It's still running, however, it does need light, so you can't play this in the dark. Another uniqueness with this game over the others is that it has a clock and alarm built in. So on the bottom right corner, you see there it says 12 a.m. That's the clock. You can set it up. Obviously, I did not set up the time, and I just hit time, AM, PM. I guess I can toggle it that way. So yeah, you can set a clock. You can set the clock in here, and you can put an alarm as well. I guess you could use those features, the alarm and the clock, to convince your parents that this serves more than just a game. It'll also make sure that you'll get up in time for school. I don't know if that works, but that's the only thing I can think of. It does have a pretty simple controller function for you. You got your directions, and then you've got your jump. And you got game A and game B and time. Let's start one game off. It's not as loud as the other games. And you can see Donkey Kong there, jumping up, getting the key. I mean, it's pretty cool. Again, you can't play in the dark. It does take 2C batteries, so it's a trade-off. But you have a clock and an alarm, which is kind of cool, I think. It's a novelty, right? Let's look at this decals. This is one I did not replace either. It's not bad. It could use a replacement on some sides, but definitely a lot better than what others had before I replaced them. So that's Donkey Kong Jr. Well, here is the last of the 7. It is Zaxxon from 1983. Pretty intimidating, I guess, a little bit, first impressions. It looks kind of like a Darth Vader mask, you know, with the black and a little opening shield to see through. So this takes 4D batteries. Yes, I said D, not C. This is totally different from the way it looks as far as shape and size compared to the rest of them. Let me first give you a view of the demo. So let's see here. I think hold the fire button, slide it. I'm gonna have to lift it up for you to see it better. There we go. Hopefully that comes out clear. And it's the 3D view of it, and you can see your ship, your craft flying through. Let's talk a little bit about Zaxxon. At this point, the 7th game that they've made, a lot of things have changed. This one has that 3D effect, which they had to use 2 displays to achieve it. So there's actually a multi-VFD used in this one. It's the only one also that has something special that I asked you in the beginning, the question, what is different among all these? This is the one that has it. And what it is, it actually allows you to do horizontal screenplay. So you are going this direction while things are flowing through, as opposed to the other games, you're just looking at a static view, a play field that you're just moving around. This is very unique with that. Now, there was going to be another one that would go along with this as far as the horizontal gameplay, if they were able to have made it, which would have been the Omega Race one, because that also had a horizontal screen flow. Another thing with this game is the controller stick. It has 8 directions. You can go in 8 directions, up, down, left, right, top right, bottom left, bottom right. How about that? Very unique. It does have 2 fire buttons on here. Let's turn this on and give it a little bit of a gameplay. So it's kind of hard to see as I'm holding this to the camera. That's my excuse. But you can hear it play. It's loud as well as like the others. It is heavy, and the decals on this are original. I have not replaced it, and they are awesome looking. 1983. And the bottom as well. This would be the most sought after game of the 7, probably followed by Donkey Kong Jr. That wraps up all 7 of these games. This one, I'm amazed the condition. Whoever had this before really took great care of it. Let me know if you have a Zaxxon. I'm curious how many people actually own this one too, because I had a hard time finding this online in this condition. That's a wrap. I want to thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate your time. And until next time, keep that gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.